Hello, my name is Austin Smith, and this is my contemporary graphic designer presentation about Rodrigo Corral. So, Rodrigo Corral is a Colombian American graphic designer from Long Island, New York, and he attended the School of Visual Arts in New York City. And he is known for designing book covers primarily. And during his time at the Visual Arts in New York City, he studied under another prominent contemporary graphic designer known as Chip Kidd, who someone else has the presentation on. And this is kind of where he took this inspiration of designing book covers because Chip Kidd is also very known for designing book covers. And I'd be very surprised if no one has encountered Rodrigo's work before because he has designed for so many books. I discovered it off of Daniel Leifson's self-titled book, which was done by Rodrigo. But he does work with a lot of different figures, a lot of different artists and architects and musicians from a lot of different backgrounds. So Rodrigo's most famous design is the design for Flight Club. So this was back when it was a book before it got turned into a movie. The author came to the firm that a young Rodrigo was working at the time and wanted a design for the book cover. And a lot of the senior designers struggled with this design because the book was very dark and like offbeat and very just different from what was normally coming out at the time. So they kind of had problems doing that. But Rodrigo was so young at the time in the career that he came up with this idea of a yellow bar of soap, which is important to the plot of the movie, against this dark background with this chaotic title on the bottom. And this very well encapsulates like the themes and the tones of Fight Club. So he took this idea and the author loved it. And this kind of ties into the idea of how Rodrigo designs. He uses a icon to drive his designs forward. So in this case being this yellow bar of soap, and he uses that to kind of like push his design forward and center everything around that. And this is very successful for Fight Club, as if any of you seen the movie or the movie poster, you know that the bar of soap is prominently featured in the movie poster, and this was very successful because whenever I think of Fight Club, I think of this bar of soap that he created an icon for. Another one of his famous works is James Frey's book, A Million Little Pieces, with his outstretched hand covered in like sprinkles that are kind of like spreading throughout the body. And this idea came from a nasal spray commercial that he saw of this idea of like the medicine. It showed the medicine spreading throughout the body. And then he also kind of paired it with this idea of like a cake store with like sprinkles and like kind of spreading throughout his hand. So he kind of finds this inspiration in different places, in this case, it being a nasal medicine commercial. And that kind of ties into how he designs. He just comes up with this idea, and he comes up with a couple of iterations, and then he'll show his client that, and then he's very unrelenting with that. If the client doesn't like it, he'll just say it's not for them. And then finally, in 2002, he founded the Rodrigo Corral studio in New York, where him and his wife work. They have designed many, the firm has designed many important and iconic books since then. The most popular one I can think of is The Fault in Our Stars. This is a book cover I've seen everywhere, and this was designed by his firm. And they just have a very long-reaching outreach. They've worked with people like Jay-Z, Edward Snowden, and even companies like the Mets, like the baseball team, like the Criterion Collection for re-releasing old books, and even Amazon Prime for some of their own original movies. So that is a brief overview of Rodrigo Corral's career and his influence on book covers in particular in the 21st century.